And welcome back to the Women on Amazon podcast and now on YouTube too. And I'm here
Cool.
today for episode 46 with Chris Thomas from the Australian Seller. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thanks, Regina. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. So thank you for
Excellent.
your time today. I wanted to bring you on because there's been a few queries that I've had recently about product validation. You know, the keys to Amazon are, launching and product picking, right? And there's so much out there about this. And out of all of the people that I know, I think you're probably one of the ones who can speak really well about product validation. So let's dumb it right down for somebody who is new. Now, if anybody doesn't know who Chris Thomas is, we're not going to go through all of that again. You can Google
don't
him.
worry about it. Yeah.
You can Google him. He's been on this podcast before. He's got his own podcast, so you can check it all out. We're not going to give you his bona fides because we all know and love Chris. So let's just get down to brass tacks. I'm a brand new seller looking to launch a product. Now, if I'm in Australia, do I want to look at the Australian marketplace or the US marketplace, in your opinion?
What, in terms of which marketplace should you sell on first?
Yes.
Oh, that's that question comes up a lot. And
I get it a lot. In fact, I got another message yesterday. It's like, I want to validate a product in Australia. How do I do that? Okay, so that's why I asked you first. That one.
Okay, that's a really good question. All right, so unfortunately, of course, we know, but a lot of newbies probably don't know that a lot of the tools that we take for granted in other marketplaces like America, like the United Kingdom and Europe and all that stuff, like Helium 10 and Jungle Scout, Viral Launch, none of those tools work pretty much at all within the Australian marketplace because it's too small. And the marketplace is too small, and it costs a lot of money, I think, for those guys to develop, to re-engineer their software to work in the Australian marketplace. There's a bunch of other reasons why they don't, but so for Australia, it's really trying to assess the things like search demand, like how many times is a keyword being looked for, or how much is a product actually selling, is a tricky thing to figure out. The only tool that I'm aware of that does a reasonably good job at this is Zonguru. They don't have any sort of keyword data, which is kind of the secret sauce of Amazon, I think. But they do give you a sense of how products are performing. There are other tools as well, like eGrow, which honestly, without trying to get into a lawsuit here, I just wouldn't go anywhere near it. I think it's quite dangerous. And so in terms of like sort of assessing how individual products are performing, my two go-to places are Zonguru and also using a tool called Keeper. But Keeper's also got a bit.
I've heard a little bit of Keeper, but I don't know much about it. And that works for the Australian marketplace?
It does and it doesn't. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now, all that Keeper does, it's KEEPA, and you do need a paid account in order to be able to unlock the value of the tool. I think it's about like €100 a year, so it's not that much, but in the grand scheme, and Keeper works across all marketplaces, and it can be a really powerful tool. I use it a lot. But what Keeper does is it gives you a history of the bestseller chart or the rank of a product as a chart. So it sort of plots the progress or the sales of a product. So if you kind of know what sort of sales you might be getting if a product has a bestseller rank of, 5,000 in the home and kitchen, then you can kind of estimate, okay, on that day, that product probably sold 4 units or 20 units or whatever.
Whatever it was,
and so on and so forth. You can also sort of plot things like, their reviews, how they've increased over time and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it can be quite useful. There is one other kind of trick that you can try. This doesn't always work, which is the 999 trick. And I have used this in the past, both in marketplaces like America and stuff like that. And it does occasionally work, but there's a few caveats around this, which I won't get into the weeds on it. But
so for people who don't know, I mean, I do know, I haven't used it for a very long time, but for those who don't know, can you explain what the 999 trick is, please?
I'll try my best. All right. So what you can do is actually sometimes a lot of this stuff is better shown than explained in a podcast. But the idea is to look at a product and go to the product page and add that product to your cart. And then you can edit the cart in Amazon. And by editing the cart, you can change the quantity that you want to order from 1 to 999 units.
That's the maximum that Amazon will allow you to put into your shopping cart of a single product.
That's correct. I have actually managed to add a product once that almost was $1 million in my cart, which is a bit scary.
You don't want to press the buy now button.
No, you do not. It makes out the credit card in a heartbeat. Anyway, sorry, I went off on a tangent there. But yeah, so the 99 trick. So what it means then is that if you're lucky, and because again, this doesn't always work, but sometimes you'll see that a seller may have, I don't know, 52 units left in stock. That's all you can order because that's all they've got in inventory.
That's all they've got. Yep.
That's right. So then you can come back the very next day and
do it
check
again.
And maybe they've got 50 units.
Right.
So they've sold 2. Something's happened to 2, probably.
So the assumption is if you go back on a daily basis or a weekly basis over a period of time, you can create a guesstimate of how many units that seller or that product has sold. Now, of course, that's assuming that they have less than 999 units at Amazon FBA, because if the seller has got more than 1,000 units at FBA, this 999 trick does not work.
No, it doesn't. And there's another little thing there as well, which is two more things. So if Amazon's selling the product and they're the vendor of the product, they're always going to have 999 units every single time, even if they don't. That's just a given. And the second thing is that if the seller against that product has set a max order quantity of 10 units, that's the maximum that they'll allow anybody to order at once, then if they have more than that, you don't know how many more. So
the trick doesn't work. Okay, so when you're researching, that's one thing. And then also as a seller, if you want to protect your information, you might want to put a maximum order quantity on your products as a way to stop other people using this trick against you. So it's a double-edged sword, this one, right?
Yes. But what I find in Australia is that a lot of sellers are pretty unsophisticated. They don't really understand how this works. So they tend just to have, they don't have restrictions on how many units you can order and all that stuff. Anyway, so there's that. So Australia is pretty murky. It's a little bit tricky. The final way that you can do it is to actually list a product, throw it in FBA, or indeed do a merchant fulfilled. So that means that you can either let Amazon fulfill it if someone orders, or you can do it yourself if someone orders. And then run some advertising and look at the amount of times that your ad is actually shown for various keywords. And it kind of gives you a sense of your keyword demand or search demand, which is quite important.
Okay, nice. So basically, I mean, my response to anybody who asks me about Australia is, it's very murky waters, and it's not where I would choose to start a private label business.
I kind of agree with you on that. I think it's an interesting, it could be a good place to cut your teeth before you move into the United States, for example, where you kind of learn the ropes of how Seller Central works before you put your big boy or girl pants on and off you go to the US. The one thing I will say about Amazon Australia as well is that the riches are not in the niches like they are in the US. You don't go mining for niches on Amazon Australia. You find a very broad product, category. Look at the bestseller lists in each of the different categories, and and that'll give you a pretty good sense of.
I mean, and then the other thing that I say to people is that the people that I personally know who are making money here in Australia are doing it with many, many SKUs. Whereas in the US, you can have one SKU that does, $100,000, $200,000 a month. In Australia, to get those sort of numbers, you need hundreds, if not thousands, of SKUs across categories to make some serious coin, so to speak. Okay.
I agree. And I'd also argue too, you probably need to have a multiple marketplace strategy here in Australia. So you're looking at eBay, you're looking at Kogan, probably Catch. Kogan's tricky, Catch possibly. So Gumtree, whatever.
Absolutely. Right. Okay. So let's put Australia to the side and put on as you say, our big girl pants, big boy pants, and head on over to the US now.
Yes.
Product ideas and validating those ideas. Talk me through a strategy that you have found has worked for you or people you know.
You know what? I think it actually depends a lot on the product that you are thinking about selling on Amazon. So, and there's even though it should be a really simple thing, product validation, it is actually can get quite complicated to really arrive at the numbers. A lot of sellers, like, for example, very famous sellers like Kevin King, he is massively focused on the metrics and the numbers and all the financials and all sorts of things. I'm a little bit more fuzzy and a little bit, I won't say gut feel, but I use a lot of the data that I collect to then kind of make that educated guess, because none of this is a pure science or it's
Of
perfect.
course.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And you can tie yourself up in knots and take no action, and then nothing happens.
And that's what we see. I mean, that's the thing. People do get, and I'm sure you see it, I see it all day, every day. People get, paralysis by analysis.
Yep.
And never actually press the button and go. So it's a
Yes.
fine line. Okay.
It is between pleasure and pain.
Now,
Now,
that's a different conversation, perhaps.
sorry, okay, we'll pack that there. So I was just channeling a little bit of the divinals. Anyway.
The divinals, yes.
Yes, sorry.
For all you young folks out there, Google the divinals.
They're awesome. Christy Amphlett, bless her.
That's it.
God bless her. She unfortunately passed away. But all right. So the first thing I like to do is a little bit of look. The first place I always go is XRay with helium-10. I'm going to give helium-10 a lot of plugs here today, so I hope that's okay.
No, it's perfectly fine. I'm a helium-10 fan. Yep.
Good. Right.
And just to point out, if you don't have helium-10, there is a link, and we do have coupon codes for helium-10 that you can trial out, and that'll be beneath this video if you're watching on YouTube, and in the show notes of episode 46 on womenonamazon.com if you're listening to this. There's my little plug. Right,
awesome.
Let's go.
Of course they're listening to this. All right, so XRay. Now, what XRay does for anybody that's new is basically it condenses everything that on a search page on Amazon. So it's really just looking at all of the results for a keyword search, and then it sort of estimates as well as best it can. Every single product that is on page one, for example, how many sales they're getting. What its potential revenue looks like, how many reviews it has. There's a bunch of different information about
pretty
each and every product.
Most of what you need to know.
Generally.
If you're looking at, so now just to clarify this, so in XRay, you actually put in the keyword or search term that you're looking for, and it brings up the stats for page one, page two. Yes. So it's
that's correct. If you wanted to, it can go through page by page, but most people just hang about on page one. Now, the reason why I do that is a couple of reasons. Really, it's just get a sense of the market. It's not perfect, but the other reason too, like you may notice that there are seasonal things that are going on with all the sellers where they're all declining. I saw recently, just to give you a really good example, early this year when COVID hit, everybody stopped buying travel products.
Yes.
Right? Because they couldn't.
Of course.
They didn't want it. Yeah. So things like microfiber towels, for example, was just every single seller's graph, sales chart was basically declining. So it was clear that was probably a pretty risky market to get into.
Yeah.
All right. So XRay just gives you, but generally gives you an overall sense. And even though it's probably not the best way to validate a product idea, it is a really, it's
a broad stroke, right?
It is a very broad brushstroke just to get a sense of what's happening. So that's the first step.
Okay. And do you then have, like, if you're looking at a market like that, do you have a particular formula or things that you go to tick off? I mean, I know like traditionally it was like, it's got to have, so many sellers in page one that are making X number of sales, or so many sellers with this number of reviews or less. There's different rules that different supposed gurus set out there, and different training programs have different rules and parameters. Do you have any that you personally use?
None at all when it comes to that, because you can type in a really obscure keyword and get a bunch of really big sellers on that, but that's just one keyword that you use is just one pathway to get for those sellers to get a sale.
Exactly. So there's no guarantee that the sales that they're getting are actually from that particular keyword, even if they show up on page one, correct?
Exactly. There's a lot of different ways. It's all these different pathways to the center of town, right?
Yep.
And some are freeways, big search terms that have a lot of volume, and others are just little inroads, little back streets and alleyways. And so that's where all of, so what you're looking for is what are the different pathways. And that's sort of where I often use, that's another tool that Helium-10 offers, which is Helium-10. Which is from Helium-10, which is Cerebro.
Right.
To look at the top 10 and understand all the different ways that people are actually purchasing those products. It's a really important concept to understand that the way that Amazon ranks a product on its platform, the only reason why those products rank is because they're getting sales through that keyword.
Yes.
All right.
That's right.
So if someone types in, I don't know, beach tent.
Yes.
All the products that you see are definitely getting sales. When someone types in beach tent, all those products that you see on page one will be getting sales through that keyword.
Yes.
Someone's typed it in.
Not because they've done keyword stuffing in their listings or anything odd like that. It's because actually people are buying using that search term, which is again, something that I talk about when I talk about ranking, but that's conversation for
That's a
another time.
separate thing.
Yep.
But what we want to understand is how people get in there and what are the different keywords and are there any opportunities in there? So yeah, XRay and Cerebro are really powerful tools. It's sort of just validating how are these sellers getting sales and you know, so on and so forth. It just gives you a bit of a whole overall sense of what's going on and what you need to do. The big thing though is if all the products on page one have just got a bucket load of reviews.
Yes.
Like to go and type water bottle into Amazon, for example. Like if you try and sell a water bottle on Amazon, you are a nut job. You're a nutcase, seriously. They've got like 15,000, 30,000, 10,000 reviews, these products. It's impossible. You know, big mistake that a lot of new sellers make is that they go, oh, I just want a really tiny little slice of this really big pie.
Yeah.
It's a big mistake. What you want is a big slice of a really small pie. Trust me, on Amazon.
Okay.
So that's a really important sort of thing to understand is also like I do a lot of review, you know, just sort of what I'm up against and what do I need to do in terms of the amount of reviews that I would need to get in order to sort of have a chance. Yeah. Because reviews are seriously important.
Yeah. And getting harder and harder to get.
That's correct. Now, but if I do see a product which has, I don't know, 3.5 stars, 3 stars, sitting on page one for a reasonably competitive keyword, I like to get in there and use those reviews to find out what is wrong with that product. And if they're sitting on page one with a clearly not a very good product or a product people don't like, then what can I do to improve on that? And, you know, and I'm probably going to have a much better chance than them competitively.
Yeah, of course. And this is part of like the bigger branding strategy. Like, what are you going to do to stand out? And this is something that I've done over all the years is found out how I can make a better mousetrap by looking at the reviews of the mousetraps that are already selling, right?
Exactly. If everybody though is 4.5 or 5 stars, tough gig.
It's hard to get in and compete.
That's right.
That's it. Okay. So,
yes.
Okay. So we've gone and we've gone through XRay to look at the big picture. We've then gone to Cerebro now that's the reverse ASIN search, correct?
That is correct. So what Cerebro does is it tells you what are all these, well, let's just take, you can put one product into Cerebro and that's fine. And it'll tell you where does that product rank for various keywords.
Right.
All right.
Okay. So that's doing a deeper dive and saying, okay, so this product is ranking for 100 different keywords. And it's ranking number, page 1 for this keyword and page 76 for that keyword. So most of its sales are coming from this, from that keyword. So right. So it's telling you where the traffic is coming in terms of sales from which keywords are heavier weighted for that product, right?
Yeah. They're basically the money-making keywords for that sort of product. Right. And it also gives you a bit of sense of the volume as well. It shows you how often estimates how often those keywords are being typed in every month.
Yep.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, there's really only a couple of ways that people can find a product on Amazon, isn't there? Right? They can either type in the keyword and in a search bar like Google and click on a listing or result, or they see your product as a suggested or sponsored product on someone else's product page.
Yep.
That's pretty much it.
That's it. Yep. Or they see an ad. Exactly. Okay. All right. So we've done that. We've gone in and we've gone through the reviews to find out if we can improve and how we can improve our product.
Yep.
And gone are the days of putting an ebook with it, because you can't send PDFs in follow-up emails anymore. So you can't improve it by putting in a free ebook with your barbecue tongs.
No.
That's not an improvement anymore. Once upon a time, there was a phase where pretty much everybody was doing free ebooks with their products, recipe books for any kitchen products and God knows what else there was in the ebooks. But that's been stamped down, so you can't differentiate. You actually have to differentiate your product.
That's correct. Why don't we talk about product differentiation, because that is super important, I think.
Perfect.
And I think this is also, I'm not sure whether you've spoken to Tim Jordan, but this is an area where he really shines. So I think, look, there's a really good example like I sort of saw recently, which was around a productivity timer as a search term.
Yep.
So you go to Amazon, you have a look for a productivity timer, because, I was sort of thinking about what do people need in a post-COVID or, in our COVID environment. They obviously they're under pressure, they're working at home, they want to stay productive. So I was looking at productivity timers, and one of the products was actually like everything else was like a dial sort of, like an
egg timer.
Yeah, like an egg timer, like a thing that you put in your kitchen, to set the time super quick. But there was one there that was just this really gorgeous wooden hourglass,
Yes.
that you've got sand pouring through it and stuff like that. And that was actually ranking quite high. I think it was like third or fourth or fifth position. Didn't have as many reviews as the others, but because it looks so different from all of these other plasticky kind of dial. Yeah, it was just a really cool thing. It was a thing that would look really good in someone's office.
Yep.
So, sometimes it can be as simple as that. You can go for something quite competitive, but if you've got something that is really, really differentiated, that just going to stand out like the proverbial, I'm not going to say it, but on a search result page, it just looks different from everything else. And Tim Jordan did this really well with the wooden egg tray last year in the Project X. I thought that was an absolute stroke of genius. We were talking about this product actually before he did Project X at Retail Global last May in 2019. But so I was watching along as it was all happening behind the scenes.
People who don't know, Project X is a series of, I think it's the YouTube videos that were put out by Helium 10. So they're free. You can access them. Just go to YouTube and search Project X Helium 10. And you should be able to get a series of see those videos, which was all about product research and validation, right?
It was, in fact, but it was also much more. It went all the way through from one end to the other, right out to, almost, I think quite recently they did an update on how much money they've made from the two products that they launched.
Right. Okay.
So the first product that Tim put out there was the egg tray, right? So the wooden egg tray. Now, again, on the differentiation thing, I remember him asking, he was saying, do a search on Google, on Amazon for wooden egg tray. And I did. Yes. Do a search on Amazon for egg tray, just egg tray. Yes. Would you sell one of these? I was like, no chance. And the reason for that was because everything was kind of cheap. It was plastic. It was horrible. It was all cheap Chinese and yuck. And then he said, go to Pinterest and do a search for this, do the same search. And that was where
I know Tim does a lot of search on Pinterest. That's right.
Heaps. Pinterest is a great place to look for and sort of when you're doing differentiation when it comes to product research. Pinterest is your friend. Etsy is your friend.
Yes.
Kickstarter is your friend.
Yeah. The point is look off Amazon as a way to differentiate on Amazon.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So that's a really important part of validating, because if you do a Me Too, you do the same, I don't know, garlic press or the same freaking timer or whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
You're dead. You're cooked in the water if they've got a lot of reviews. So differentiation is really important. The other one, of course, was the coffin shelf. That was a good one. So hopefully that whets someone's appetite. Okay. Oh, the coffin shelf was genius.
I don't even know what it is. So.
He got that from another tool that Helium 10 offers, which was a little bit of messing around on Pinterest as well with this one, but on using Magnet, which is a keyword research tool that Helium 10 offers.
I love Magnet. Yep.
Yeah. So he saw that there was like 3,000 people a month looking for a coffin shelf.
And it's like, well, what is that?
Well, the good thing is that there were only like about 100 competing products.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the things, the metrics.
Yep.
Yeah. And so what that means is that you've got a supply and demand imbalance.
Yep.
This is pure gold on Amazon, seriously. When you have a lot of people looking for something, that's the demand side. And then in terms of how many products are for sale, that's the supply side. Then if they're in balance or out of balance in your favor, and you bring a coffin shelf to market, just, because you're not competing with very many other people, you're probably going to make some money. And he did. They're making a good 60 to 70,000 US dollars a year.
Yep.
I'm not saying a month or anything, but you stack a lot of those kind of products alongside each other, and that's an Amazon business.
Like 10 of those little products and Bob's your uncle. So heading back, you said, 3,000 keywords a month. Do you have I'm trying to think like a target of what the keyword search term is that would be your cutoff? It's like, I will not get a product unless it's got X number of search terms a month across maybe not just one keyword, but across a handful of keywords.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to think about the way that people search. Not everybody goes to Amazon and just types in water bottle.
Yep.
Right? There's lots of kind of like stainless steel water bottle, glass water bottle. I don't know.
Water
washable, dishwasher safe, like there's just a heap of them. Big,
blue,
small, 1 litre, 2 litre. They don't lose litres.
Blue one, red one, yellow one. Yep, exactly. Yep.
Exactly. So there's lots of different ways that people search. So like, for example, with one of my students, we found a product together on Magnet, and they have search volumes of 50,000. Like, there's about 5 different keywords that everybody's using, which are all different, but the same thing. They all take you to the same kind of result.
Yep.
All of those keywords add up to like 90,000 searches a month. but there's only 225 people competing on those keywords.
So that's a great.
So the ratio is just off the chart in his
So
favor.
that's my next question. So what's this ratio? So you're talking about this out of balance ratio. So what do you consider to be a great ratio of search volume versus sellers? Do you have a number that you like?
Yes, I do. So when I'm using Magnet, and actually Magnet is my go-to tool, I steer well away from the other tools that Helium 10 offers. God, we're just giving them such a plug today. But they have another tool there, which is a black box. And that's where all the new sellers go. Black box is the product research tool. It's sitting there in the suite. Everybody goes, oh, I want to find a product. You actually don't want to find a product. What you want to find is a keyword.
Keyword, yes. That's what I like to do is I go keyword first rather than product first. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. If you know what the keyword is and it's a product related keyword, like wooden flower pot, then you know exactly what you need to source. It takes the whole idea, the whole sort of stress of, should I be selling this guitar capo or people are looking around, well, what can I sell? And, no, if you know what the keyword is, and all the keywords on Amazon are basically related to either someone else's brand or a product.
Yep.
It's not how to make your own capo, or something.
Right.
It's not like YouTube. Anyway, sorry.
Well, exactly. YouTube people go to, for how to do stuff.
Yes.
Amazon people go to buy stuff. So it makes sense that all of the search terms and keywords are going to be around, products, unless it's event type like Prime Day deals or those sorts of things. I mean, and there's no, it's not impossible, but you don't want to be searching a product based around event type keywords. You want to be doing a product based on, although I have to say I have one product that I rank every year exclusively for stocking stuffers, and it just goes gangbusters, absolutely gangbusters.
It's really annoying. I want to be you. I want to be you right now, especially Christmas, fourth quarter coming up. You must be excited.
It's and November so far, I'm sort of about 3x of this time last year on that product. So I'm really happy. So
happy days. That's fantastic.
Happy days. But anyway, so reverting back.
Yeah. So I'm Magnet. Yep.
Looking at, so you're on Magnet and you're looking at the volume for the keyword. And my question was, what is the balance that you're looking for? How many products relative to search volume is a number that is comfortable for you to say, yes, that's a product I want to investigate further?
Yeah. So one of the great things about Magnet is that it allows you to create filters. So if you do a search for a product, like a search term, I don't know, let's just say that you put in the word rustic, because rustic's pretty hot in the US. There's always rustic this and rustic that. Everybody wants a rustic bloody cake stand or something, right? I don't know whether, there's rustic's huge. I can't stand the stuff, but anyway, that's
me neither. But okay, yep.
But that's who cares what I think, right?
That's it. If it makes me money, I'll love it.
Exactly. I'm rustic all the way. USA, go. So Magnet has these filters, and what you can do is, like, if you type in rustic, you'll end up with a list of related keywords, which will probably go for 29,000 search terms or keywords, related keywords. That's way too many to even look at or even think about. It does your head in. So what I do is I set up these filters, and I'll go, right, I want a minimum search volume of, I only want to see keywords that have an estimated search volume of 1,000.
Right. Yep.
Right. That's my base.
Okay.
Then I also want to see products that have less than, say, I want to see keywords that have, say, less than 400 competing products.
Okay, right.
So now we've got filters in place.
Right.
So I'm looking for the imbalances.
Okay.
There is another score in there, which is the Magnet IQ score.
IQ score, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Now that's a pretty cool thing too, because that actually kind of does the work for you, and you can filter by that.
Yeah. So you want it to be as high as possible, right?
Exactly. The higher the number, the better. And sometimes I'll get lazy and just go, I just want to see a Magnet IQ score minimum of 5,000, for example. That usually gets you where you need to be.
Right.
And then you can go through all of the list of keywords. There may only just be a handful, like 12, or there might be 50 or 150, but you can kind of mind-numbingly go through all the different keywords and look at ones that you go, that's interesting. I don't even know what that is. I saw the other day, which is a ladder desk.
A ladder desk.
A ladder desk. I was like, I've heard of a ladder shelf.
Well, what's a ladder
I don't know what it was either, but usually it's those kind of weird keywords like that. You go,
Okay.
Anyway, a ladder desk is something that is trending off its head, and there's not a lot of competing products. So I'm giving away a bit of a product idea, but it's a tricky one to get into. And the reason why I kind of was looking at it was because there weren't many competing products, so there's a few more now. But the second reason was that it was really starting to trend, because there's also a little trend graph which shows you how of how those keywords perform over time. That's another important thing to look at.
Mhm.
But what was really good was because people were looking for compact desk space, and these ladder desks either lean up against your wall and it's got a little desk shelf or desk that sticks out,
Right.
or it's actually sort of, anyway, just go and have a look. Google it.
Okay.
I mean, Amazon it or whatever.
Amazon,
Anyway,
Amazon ladder desk.
yeah.
Okay.
The other reason why I liked it too is because when I went to Alibaba
Mhm.
to have a look to see what does a ladder desk actually sell for wholesale,
Yep.
there was only one or two other people actually selling them. So
Right.
that tells me that there's probably not going to be a flood of other sellers.
Gotcha.
They're all, because Alibaba works the same way.
Same way. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. If
Where-
there's only 2 or 3 sellers on Alibaba, that means your competition is low. But if there's 1,000 Alibaba sellers, then you're going to be saturated, right?
It sounds like everybody's coming after you. Yeah. Because you don't know what's on the boat. It's, you don't know how many, but if you've got a lot of people sell, because Alibaba sellers, those factories can switch on a dime.
Yep. Absolutely.
You're like 1 minute there.
Well, they will see what other people
demand.
are selling. They'll see the
They're
demand,
looking-
and if
They're looking at keyword demand just like we are.
Exactly.
And if they see a lot of people looking for a hoverboard, then they'll shut their factory down over a weekend, and on Monday they're making
retool.
hoverboards.
Yep, absolutely. Or fidget spinners. That's my
exactly
all-time favorite, fidget spinners. I mean,
Yep.
It's not like those factories are still making fidget spinners, are they?
Nope.
Nope.
What was really interesting too is that there was like one seller that was making coffin shelves.
Yep.
Before Helium 10 even the Project X thing started. Now there's about 50.
Yeah.
There was only I think there was like 3 or 4 people making Alibaba sellers making wooden egg trays.
Yep.
Now there are hundreds.
Yep.
Because of the project, everybody's gone to Alibaba,
to do
look
it,
for a wooden egg tray, and everybody's turning out wooden egg trays. The factories have just geared up. They've all,
So if anybody is like, if you're listening to this episode, we would highly recommend you do not do a wooden egg tray especially as your first product, because it's going to be very competitive and hard to rank at this stage, right?
Yes. Even for professional sellers, it would be professional suicide, and if you weren't a professional seller, it'd be a rookie mistake. Yeah.
So there you go.
Anyway,
so that's our advice. Okay, so we've looked at how we can improve our product.
Mm-hmm.
We've done some search volume validation. Obviously, it goes without saying, we do our numbers in terms of profit.
Financials.
Okay. Financials. Again, that's probably a conversation for another day. My personal recommendation is I want to see 50% margin before advertising. So by the time I get my product into Amazon, landed after Amazon fees, I want to see 50. That's mine. Now, I've been told by a lot of people that's high. What's your
pretty high?
Yep, that is high, but that's my thing, because I want to make sure I've got money to spend on advertising, and I want to make sure that I've got money to spend on launching and all of the other things that are needed. So, and to replenish. So that's mine. What's yours?
Yeah, you do need return on investment in order to be able to replenish and have enough money to actually then build your business, because you want to be able to add another product, and you can only do that with profit from the first.
Exactly.
Look, it depends on the product and what it costs. But that sounds weird.
Yep.
So if I'm selling, let's say I was selling a ladder desk and I was sourcing it for, $20.
Yep.
And I was selling it for 100, and my profit was, say, $40.
Mm-hmm.
Or even $30. Let's say my profit was $30. That's enough margin. $30 margin is enough to really move the needle on cash flow. Yeah. Okay. It's a 30% margin, but there is a lot, there's a high dollar value in that. 30% margin looks a lot different when it's only $3.
Yep.
Yeah. So, anyway, so look, I think it depends a little bit, but to your point, the higher you can get that return on investment or that margin, the better.
Yeah. Okay.
Super important.
So the point you're making, that if it's a $20 product, then you want to have a higher margin. If it's a $200 product, you can afford to have a slightly lower margin, because you've got the dollar value in there that you can then reinvest. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, it tends to work quite well that way. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
What else then? So we've got the look, you write about financial validation. Look, again, Helium 10 has a product a financial validation tool that you can use, and also Ecom Crew has quite a good one as well. So if you Google like product, what's the word I'm looking for? financial validation ecom crew on Amazon, on Google.
And sort of also in Freedom Ticket, Kevin King has got all sorts of spreadsheets, doesn't he?
I know, they do my head in though.
I know.
Scary.
I know. I'm not big on spreadsheets. I've got like mine is really easy. I just put in, this is how much it's going to cost me. This is approximately how much it's going to cost me to fly it. I just do very rough back of the envelope type numbers. It's easy to find out what the Amazon costs are going to be, and that's it. And then it's like, can I double that and still sell it? And that's my financial validation.
That's all it takes. Sometimes it's that easy, right? We can overthink things.
Exactly. You got to keep it reasonably simple. Reasonably simple. Okay.
Indeed.
What else?
Okay. So another one that I really like is design differentiation. Now, let's say that you have a product like a shower curtain, for example.
Yes.
This is a quite an interesting story here where I had a student a little while back, actually a year or two ago now, and she had this fantastic idea for a shower curtain.
Okay.
And there were a lot of competitors, but she had a design that was incredible. Unique. Yeah, it's very different and very unique. So
as in a print, or as in like a physical design for a shower curtain?
No, the actual print, what's being printed on it. Right. Yes, good distinction. Yeah. So this is a design thing. So I think anytime that you're doing a different pattern compared to what everybody else is doing, or maybe even a different color or a different sort of design, or like a picture or whatever you're doing.
If everybody's selling black and you come in and sell red, then you're going to stand out.
You do, but sometimes black is the color.
Well, yes. So again,
all right. So
more research needed, but yes.
Just because there's a whole bunch of black ones and you think you can come in with a pink one, that's not going to guarantee anything. So be a little careful. Some people just expect, I used to sell sleep masks on Amazon.
Yes.
Right. Everybody wants a black one. You can. I introduced pink ones. I did purple ones. I did green ones. I did orange ones.
And you couldn't sell them?
No. They stood out. They look great, but everybody wants a black one.
Well, it's like when I had my clothing store, the story was, put the bright yellow dress in the window to sell the black one inside the store.
Love that.
I think it was actually Donna Karan who said that first.
Oh, nice one.
But yes, it's the same thing. You want to attract them with something, and then but they'll come back and not necessarily buy that thing that gets them in the door. Okay.
Right. Anywho, sorry. Yeah. So if you're differentiating and you're using patterns to whatever, pikfu is definitely your friend there, and I'm sure you know pikfu. Pikfu, I love it. It's one of my favorite validation tools of all time, and that has saved a lot of people, and it's also made a lot of people a lot of money.
Yeah. So for again, if you're listening or watching this and you don't know what pikfu is, there is a link with a discount code underneath this video or in the show notes. Pikfu is an awesome tool where you can test. It's like split testing for all sorts of things, including images, titles, even copy. And they will send that out to their panel of buyers or potential buyers to then come back and give you an answer as to which one they prefer. And you can select people who have Amazon accounts if you're looking to do that on Amazon, and they will look at your 2 images or your 2 patterns or your 2 designs or your 2 headlines and say, or even 3. I think you can do it for more than 2, can't you?
Yeah, you can. You can do as many as you like almost. Yeah.
Yep. And they'll say, we like this one. And the other thing I love about it is not only do they say we like this one, but they'll tell you why. It's like, I like this one because it's, whatever. So, so pikfu, that's a great tool. So thank you for mentioning that one.
Yes. Oh, look, there's so many stories I could talk about pikfu. I'll give you one where I had a student who said, wanted some help because their product wasn't selling.
Yep.
Actually, they started out with, can you give me some help with my PPC? I'm spending a lot of money. I'm not making any. So, okay, we'll take a look. Yep. Turned out when I saw the product, I was like, oh my God.
It's had nothing to do with the PPC because nobody wanted to buy it, right?
No one wanted to buy it. That's for sure. I really felt sorry. I just said, look, we've got to pikfu this because I don't think anybody is going to want to buy this sort of design that you have.
Yep.
And we've, out of the 50 respondents, and usually you get a pretty good sense of what's going on after 50, 2 people said that they would buy that product over the other 2 competing products. And
so in that case, you put in competing products rather than...
I did. I took Amazon's choice for that search term, the main search term, and also took the bestseller, Amazon's bestseller. They're little badges that live on page 1. Yeah. So always a good idea to compete against or see how your design or your differentiated product stacks up against what's selling well. There was there was another one as well that I did last year with another friend of mine for, I can't say what it was, but we actually lost the pikfu test, but we understood why we lost it, and it was because we weren't showing food in our image, because this is a product that sort of holds the food, and because our competitors were showing the item being used to serve food, and ours wasn't. We actually came second, but we were kind of like, oh, we're actually a real good show here.
So product and use images,
Yes.
but that's got to be, you've got to be, as a main image, you've got to be very careful with terms of service around that. So that's just something to be aware of.
Beg for forgiveness later.
Figure it out. But I mean, the other thing is, if you're designing something from scratch, say, and you're not sure whether to go with the red or the green one, and it's your own, so rather than putting in images of competitors, you can put in images of your own into pikfu and have, people who would buy tell you which one they prefer. So it's a great way for you to save money. Instead of going with 2 SKUs, go with one and just go with the one that people would prefer. So
yeah. Well, let's put it this way, just to put a really fine point on it. Yeah. pikfu is not free. For a decent test, it's going to cost you about $60 US, right?
Yes. But that's still a hell of a lot cheaper.
Oh yeah. Now let's get this in perspective just for a second, because that first product I was talking about, the guy that wanted help with the PPC.
Yes.
When we pikfu'd it, and there was only 2 people that said they'd buy his product, and one of them actually made a mistake. One of the person said, "Oh, I'd definitely choose, result C because da 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 da," but she'd actually picked B, which was his. Yeah. Right, okay. So there's only one person. Now, he actually spent $7,000 US on stock and another $2,500 to get it into Amazon. We're talking 9.5, almost 10 grand by the time you get out of bed to actually get that product actually up on Amazon, and he's got a product he can't sell.
Yeah, and you could have spent $60.
$60 just to put the whole thing to bed before we even got started, and onto something else where that's 10. I mean, that is a nightmare. Seriously, when you end up with a whole bunch of stock at Amazon that no one wants to buy or you can't sell, that is no one can sprinkle magic fairy dust over that. You're cooked.
No, absolutely. Okay, so just to go through it again. So we're looking at search term volumes. We're looking at design differentiation, and then we want to pikfu the shit out of it.
Yes.
To get some idea as to people would actually buy our differentiated product. Compared to other sellers for that original keyword, right? So that's the circle. So we find the keyword, we find the product, we differentiate our product. We then get some kind of customer feedback or potential customer feedback as to whether people would actually buy our better designed mousetrap compared to the mousetraps that are on there.
Yep.
And if we've done all of that and our product makes financial sense in that it is margin, then at that point, I'd probably be pressing the button. Would you?
Yeah, I'd be giving it a pretty good shot. Look, in spite of all the work that you do, and this has happened, in spite of everything that you think is going to work, and you've done all the validation, sometimes you end up with a dog.
Yep, absolutely.
But
dogs are cute, but yes. Look, at the end, it's always, like business, or with business, it's a calculated risk, but a risk nevertheless. And so by doing the things that we've talked about today, what you're trying to do is create, better decision making and actually calculating risk. And there's always outside factors that can affect you. But if you start do some of those basics that we discussed, you're more likely to have a favorable outcome than less.
That is correct. And again, just to give Helium 10 one more plug, there are lots of videos in Helium 10 that show you how to use all the different tools that we spoke about today.
Yep.
From Magnet to Cerebro to even Black Box, which don't, and maybe just end up selling the same stuff as everybody else. Yeah, because everybody plugs in the same filters. Magnet really, I think, is a secret sauce. It's the one that everybody overlooks because it's like, oh, keywords, they're boring. Nah.
No. That's no. I'm
keywords are your friend.
With you on that. Keywords are your friend. Yeah. Fabulous. Thank you so much, Chris.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Regina.
It's been lovely, and I'm sure we'll chat again another time.
Indeed. We might even talk next week. Terrific. Good on you, Regina.
Okay,
Thanks again for having me on the show.
Anytime. Love you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.